coming up on the programme. Brewing Success, a local company tell us their secret in cracking the ale industry. A newly elected member of IFRA outlines his goals. And a pub in Yorkshire has submitted an application to help save their business. Hello, you're watching North Yorkshire Headline News. I'm Abby Walker. Welcome to the programme. Just over 2 years ago, a brewing company near Scarborough started producing their own ales and selling them to the local pubs. Fast forward to the present day, and the company now brews beers for pubs across the region and beyond. Our reporter Mark Blackburn visited the North Riding Brewery to learn a little more about their success story. Just over 2 years ago, a brewing company near Scarborough started producing their own ales and selling them to the local pubs. Fast forward to the present day, and the company now brews beers for pubs across the region and beyond. Our reporter Mark Blackburn visited the North Riding Brewery to learn a little more about their success story.
Rolling out yet another cask of beer for another happy customer. A common sight here at the North Riding Brewery in East Ayton, a company which has grown considerably under the watchful eye of owner Stuart Nielsen.
North Riding Brewery Limited has been trading for 2.5 years now. We're in growth. We started off just the two of us, brewing on average about 4,000 pints a week. We're now brewing 9,000 pints every week. We now employ 3 people as well as us two. We're looking to move to a larger premise within the next couple of months to expand our business further, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll be brewing 12,000 pints a week. Personally, I've been in the pub trade since 2001. My wife owns and runs a pub in Scarborough. We know what people like to drink that come in our pub. We did start brewing at the brew pub in 2011. That's where I learnt my trade as a brewer. After about 4 years, a friend of mine approached me, said, "Do you fancy doing it on a much bigger commercial scale? You know, you do the brewing, I'll do the selling." It's worked very well for us. We're very much in demand, and we're in a great sector to work in, really, I think.
Today just happens to be a landmark day for the brewery, not that it's being celebrated as such.
Today we're brewing our 250th brew, so whether that's some type of anniversary, I'm not sure. We have a core range of predominantly modern hop-forward pale ales, but we do like to do speciality beers, particularly dark ones. We've got fudge brownie stout that's doing the rounds at the moment through our outlets in the north of England. We're brewing an ice cream porter today, so lots of different dark malts going into that. We also put some chocolate and some vanilla pods in at the end of the processes as well.
Plenty of people across the region will enjoy drinking North Riding Brewery's produce, but the amount of people who know how these ales are made is likely to be considerably less. Here then is a brief step-by-step guide.
The process starts with mixing grain and hot water, and what in effect you're doing, you're tricking the malt to convert the starch into sugar, and it's those sugars that go into the boil that then they concentrate, and this is the start of the brewing process, and it's those sugars that produce the alcohol that produce the good times.
And what sort of timescale does the brewing process work on?
A normal brew day for us is about 7 hours. That's certainly not the end of the process. We have the beer then ferments for about 5 to 7 days. It then needs to go on chill in the fermenting vessels. After it's chilled down and we hold it at a low temperature to just start dropping the yeast out of it, we will then move it into a conditioning tank where the conditioning process starts for maybe 3 to 5 days, and then we rack it off into a nice clean sterile cask. It'll then go into our cold room, and then about a week to 2 weeks later we'll start delivering them out to our customers. So I would say from the start of the brew day, you're about 4 weeks before you'll see that particular brew on the bar. So this ice cream porter that we're brewing today, I expect to see it out in the trade in about 4 to 5 weeks' time.
So what started off as a couple of friends brewing their own beer has turned into a mini ale empire. With demand always rising, North Riding Brewery has started producing for pubs across the north of England and even as far away as Nottingham. No doubt they'll raise a toast to their success for years to come. Mark Blackburn, That's TV.
A York MP has been elected to the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Select Committee. Julian Sturdy, York Outer MP, was voted in by his fellow party members, and now, as Brexit approaches, he's looking to secure York's farming future. I spoke to MP Sturdy to find out more.
The EFRA Select Committee going forward has huge importance now because we are leaving the European Union and because of Brexit, because the vast range of issues that the Select Committee look at and the EFRA department cover all used to be very much dictated by EU legislation. But that is obviously going to change over the next 2 years. So there's a huge range of policies that are going to come forward that the Select Committee will scrutinise. Well, obviously it depends on the policy that is brought forward by the government, but it is going to be quite a challenging time for farming as we leave the European Union. It's very important, I believe, that the British agricultural policy that is obviously going to be designed and put forward over the next 2 years focuses on the environment, but also focuses on agriculture, food security going forward, as well as animal welfare. And that's all areas that are going to be scrutinised through the Select Committee as we move forward. When you look at the farming communities surrounding York, and a lot of these do fall on the in or on the edge of my constituency. It covers the full range of agriculture, from carrot and potato producers to arable crops to sugar beet now just starting to be grown again in the area, but also right across the livestock sector as well. From some of the top quality dairy farmers that we have locally, but also pig and sheep producers as well, and cattle. So it's the whole range is covered across our area in North Yorkshire within agriculture as well as horticulture as well. But also, it is hugely important economically because of the money that brings back into the community and into the area, and also the jobs that it creates as well. But also, we mustn't forget about food security as well going forward as well. And actually, I think that's very important for our country, that we are producing more of our own food rather than reliance on imports. Well, I would say that obviously, the important thing now, because we're designing, the government is designing a new British agricultural policy as we speak. So it's very important that we listen to all the different bodies and local farmers, not only across York. As a York MP, I will be talking to farmers within my constituency, but also right across the region, that we listen to what they have to say, and they feed in through their local representatives, and like the NFU, and people like that who will be representing their interests as well, because we've got to bring together all the different organisations, whether it's the farming community and the National Farmers Union, but also the environmental bodies as well, and bring them together and have a policy that everyone can feed into and work around. Well, I think the future of farming is very bright. It is going to be a challenging period of time for agriculture. As we create new policy, as the government creates new policy going forward, and that has to be very much linked into the environment as well. But I do think it is a bright future going forward. I think we can be at the cutting edge of science and technology in agriculture as well as a country, and I think it's very important that we lead the way in that. And I think so actually, rather than being tied with the European Union going forward, I think UK agriculture can actually move ahead more freely and actually lead the way in advancing agriculture into the 21st century.
Stay tuned for the weather forecast, but the Met Office have issued a yellow weather warning for North Yorkshire. Strong winds of up to 70 miles per hour are expected this week, with Tuesday evening being of main concern. The gales could cause power cuts and damage to trees and buildings. Councillors have been warned that a report into why the seawater in South Bay in Scarborough failed cleanliness tests is likely to prove inconclusive. The report, which has been written by the Environment Agency, was commissioned following tests of the seawater last year. Water in the South Bay failed to meet the minimum standards for quality and was awarded a 0 rating. These test results come despite Yorkshire Water investing £50 million worth of improvements into sewage treatment centres. Throughout the world, football and golf are two of the most popular and wealthy sports. So what happens if you combine the two? A farm near Scarborough has diversified and been running foot golf sessions for a year now. We spoke to manager Tom Marshall about the sport's latest craze.
Scarborough Foot Golf is a dedicated course to foot golf only. We've been open a year now, and it's the gameplay of golf but using footballs instead. So instead of striking a ball with a driver as you would in golf, you kick a football with your feet. You can play it on your own or in a group of as many people as you like, really. We recommend about 4 people to go around at a time, and just like you would in golf, you all tee off at a separate point of your group and then play shots towards the flag. So my granddad was a farmer here and he used a lot of this land for his farming. Now he's a bit older, so he wanted to venture into a new sort of business. So me and my brother, we played foot golf before and we said, oh, this land would be perfect for it. We've got lots of plans, so we've just opened our foot pool. So that's the gameplay of pool but with footballs. That's proven really popular, and we've also expanding a smaller course, so like a sort of like a mini golf course, but mini foot golf course, of course. And that's going to be the same amount of holes, 9 holes, and it'll be maybe a time trial or moving through objects. We're still to sort that out, but the land's all been planted and seeded, and that should be open next year.
With hundreds of pubs in York city centre, and with the rumour of one for every day of the year, the Bluebell in Fossgate has the answer to help keep the heritage and business of the pub trade alive. Natalie Eagerlin has more.
How can pubs in York help protect their businesses and heritage? Well, the Bluebell in Fossgate might just have the answer.
The Bluebell has been here since 1798, so it's got 219 years of heritage and history. And over those 219 years, the people of York have used it to celebrate, to commiserate, to drown their sorrows, for all the wonderful moments and all the bad times in their life as well. The pub is always here to support them. And what we would like to do is to make sure that that carries on. You can see in this room here, it hasn't been decorated since 1903. And as such, we are a Grade 2 star listed building. It means that you can't really change the use of it, but what we wanted to do is to absolutely make sure that this pub survives for the next 200 years as well. And so to do that, we've applied for the Asset of Community Value from the City of York Council. Now, the Asset of Community Value is here to protect buildings which are important to the people in that community, and this pub is a wonderful example of that. And we're hoping that with a successful application, this pub will never be able to be changed into a supermarket or into accommodation or anything like that. If the company that owns the building do want to change it over, then they have to offer to sell it to the regulars here first.
The pub is one of the smallest in York and has Edwardian interior from 1903. The pub is a very traditional British place to drink with 5 simple house rules. No swearing, shouting, noisy groups, stag and hen groups, and no under 18s. And hopefully with the success of the application, we'll see the pub here for another 100 years. Natalie Eaglin, That's TV.
There you go, sir. Thank you. Very much, cheers. Thank you.
£2.8 million was invested into refurbishing Scarborough's Market Hall earlier this year. And after a grand reopening over the summer, traders are enjoying business once again. But some people feel let down that there hasn't been enough promotion for the Market Hall, which has caused some shops to cease trading already. Our reporter Mark Blackburn went along to investigate.
On a lovely sunny day, Scarborough Market Hall looks grand, sitting just off the bottom of the high street. Inside, the place is full of colour, fresh produce and other small businesses. But perhaps it's not full enough of customers. £2.8 million was spent refurbishing the market earlier this year, but there's a feeling not enough has been done by the council in promoting it.
We have been working with Create, a local group who's been promoting this market for us. All right. And what people said to me is that, you know, we're running events and nobody's actually promoting it for us, which I've got to understand, and I agree with, right? Because this is just a market now. This is a venue, you know what I mean? If you look at the market and traditional markets, they stop working at 5 o'clock, doors shut, and that's it. This market doesn't do that. This market has events on it, has live music on. and people can get tickets and come in. It's licensed, so we can have singing and dancing. We're actually licensed for up to 300 people, which is really good. And it's one of the things what I will be discussing with the officers. How do we move forward? How do we promote things we're at? Because I know there are other people who promote. It's not just the council, these Radio Scarborough, local radio station, who are in here, who are doing promotion, and they feel really let down by it. So what I want to do is make sure that when we do an event, it's promoted as wide as possible.
For those traders already in the market hall, Bill is full of confidence that business will begin to boom.
We want it to be busy during the day, but not just during the day. We want it to be a functional room at night time. So based on that, I think that we are doing quite well. I've seen the business from some of these traders who stuck with us throughout the remodel, right? And I'll be honest with you, I know financially they really did go to the wall on this, but they stuck with us and their business is increasing now. I mean, you go in now and you see people walking through. It may not be as busy as Leeds, we don't have the population of Leeds, but what we do have is people who's coming and discovering the market, because that's the important thing, is discover this market. When you come in, you see what's here, the little shops now what are online. I mean, this top floor was never here before. We've now got public toilets we never had, disabled toilet level access, So you can get in with a wheelchair, there's a lift to get you even up to this floor, right? The view at these windows was never there before. So we are doing whatever we can.
But there's also a feeling that the traders themselves can contribute to the market's promotion.
There is some room for improvement. I think there are certain things that the council can do, but that they are. We do have a meeting every week or so. The traders certainly up here, and we've put some things forward, some ideas. But I do feel that it's that thing of if you take a mortgage out from a mortgage company, you don't then expect them to come and wallpaper your living room, do you? So we have to self-promote. We've got social media at our fingertips, which is a great tool. But there are some things that need doing. We need some signage on Eastbourne. That's easy to direct people in here. But we've got to help ourselves as well, so it's not there on a plate.
Portuguese baker Jose opened his business 3 weeks ago and starts his working day as early as 4 a.m. to get bread baked and ready to sell. Already, he's seen the market is popular with local people.
Yes, I found out that people from Scarborough, they really love bread. They really love good bread, and they keep coming back. And it's really good. This is a really nice place, it looks very good. And I think everybody should come and see it, and spend a good time in here. Yes, we got fruit shops, we got a nice place to eat. Nice butchers, it's great, and it's all local products, definitely. What is more important,
The general consensus seems to be that once people start using the market, they will keep returning.
Once they discover it, it's getting them to keep using this, because coming to a market is probably the best thing. You go to one of your main food retail outlets, you buy a bag of apples, you come here, you can buy an apple. You go down there, you can buy a chop. This is proper butchery and proper market as it used to be, and that's where I want to bring back to Scarborough.
Mark Blackburn, That's TV.
Planned fracking works in a rural area of North Yorkshire are due to go ahead in the next few weeks. Protests have already begun at the site in Kirkby-Misperton against the decision to frack at a site, where Third Energy will carry out the work. Our reporter Mark Blackburn has this report.
For several months now, fracking has been a controversial issue in North Yorkshire. Following on from fracking operations in Lancashire, attention has turned to this rural area in Kirkby-Misperton, where plans are in place to begin work shortly.
The reason I'm here is mainly raising awareness for fracking, because if we don't stop it soon, it's going to be too late, and it's going to destroy the future for our children, your children, all the people. Third Energy are imminently going to frack here, and it looks like, because it's already a well, it looks like it'll be the first one in the UK.
Anti-fracking protesters are worried about the environmental impact that the process has and are using previous examples to highlight their concerns.
We know from the contamination it's caused in every place that it's been tried, over in America, in Pennsylvania, in Texas. It's just had the hurricanes. It's caused huge devastation to the water supplies. It's toxifying the land. We've got Australia there, where huge swathes have been. We've had a new film come out called The Bentley Effect, which has highlighted some of the devastation caused to farmers, and to try and frack in this sort of rural area of England is just madness when you think that the huge areas they've got in Australia and America have been poisoned. We only have a limited amount of space here. The devastation is going to be even worse.
This particular bunch of protesters are mainly individuals all opposed to fracking, rather than belonging to a group, but they want their voices to be heard amongst the local community.
It's a slow down process. We don't think a few people can stop it. It needs the mass of people, and this is a huge network of anti-fracking people up and down the country that are opposed to this. Many people have seen that. So what we need to do is wake the local population up and get them out en masse to stand in front of the trucks, in front of the police lines. This will not benefit the local population one bit. It will toxify the water and the land for local farmers and for people living in the area.
Destroy the tourism that we rely on, as well as the agriculture, which is that, they're the two main industries here. This is a tiny country. They need to just stop it and go away. It's all about the money.
Despite it being a peaceful protest, some campaigners are willing to take things a bit further and risk police prosecution in order to get their message across.
Our rights to peaceful protest aren't facilitated. There's people that feel strongly enough to put themselves in front of those lorries to get arrested and to take this issue a bit further, because we're talking about people being killed. We're talking about an environment being devastated for our children. What are you going to leave for future generations? It's just madness to push fracking in this country. This is the second well. You look at what's happened in Lancashire, in Quadrilla. They failed in 2011 with the first well. They caused an earthquake, for heaven's sake, and they have gone back to exactly the same place, and they've caused even more damage. They're getting brown water out of the taps in Blackpool now. It's shocking the speed that they can damage the water supply and toxify the landscape. We don't need it in North Yorkshire.
Third Energy have had their say on the planned works, releasing this statement to us which regards pre-commencement planning conditions. They say, Third Energy is pleased that the final pre-commencement planning conditions have now been discharged. This includes the traffic management plan, which was approved today by North Yorkshire County Council ahead of operations at its existing Kirby Misperton well site. During the development of this plan, Third Energy consulted with the police and local community to ensure its operations are safe and have minimal impact upon the local area. So despite the best efforts from protesters, it looks inevitable that the fracking works will begin imminently here in Kirby Misperton, in the heart of rural North Yorkshire. Mark Blackburn, That's TV.
Fire crews from Scarborough and Robin Hood's Bay were called out to help a man after his car skidded off the road on the A171 at Cloughton. The incident happened just after 8 o'clock on Monday morning. The man, who is in his 30s, was cut free from the vehicle and taken to hospital with spinal injuries. A popular coffee kiosk in Scarborough will soon be forced to close as a result of the council's decision to take away their licence. The coffee stop has been serving drinks outside the Brunswick shopping centre for 7 years, but they will now have to abandon their business for reasons including the large number of coffee shops already present in the area. We spoke to the owner of the cafe as well as local residents who are campaigning for their coffee shop to stay open.
We want to stay. People want to stay. Part of the community.
We're trying a petition. We've got a couple of councillors trying to fight it for us. And most of our customers are aware, and their family and friends are backing us too, because they know it's the hub, the meeting point. A lot of them have made friends with others while they've been here, and a lot of our old age customers actually get waited on at the table. We don't ask for it, we just do it automatically. And we know most of the names. Customers by name, what they drink, how many sugars they have in their cups.
The cabin that has got Keith has been here 7 years. Is part of a community, and the big corporations like Costa, the council are saying that they favour them. But this is in the budget with people that's on low income to get a drink. And as you can see, people with wheelchairs and other aspects, it's ideal venue.
And the North Case down here, we come here every Tuesday. It's just for tea, me and Robert, and Gifford. We always come down here every week, and we don't want it closing.
So you feel like it's a family?
Yes, we don't want it closing.
I've made friends here, and I know I will probably lose touch with those friends if they don't get to keep their licence. And it's accessible for everybody. I can get here with the pram. We turn up, I can bring a packed lunch for the kids, so I don't have to spend money going into Couplands. It's cheaper than the bigger brands that are in town, Costa, and I actually prefer their coffee to the others as well.
Scarborough Councillor Bill Chatt has announced that litter outs will now have to be fined in a way to tackle problems caused by seagulls. The council and its contractors have been trying to reduce litter around town, particularly in the South Bay area. But they now might be forced to issue fines to cut down on rubbish and prevent seagull attacks on people eating by the seafront.
There is enough provision in this town, in Whitby and in Filey, for you to put your litter in a bin. You know, it's not beyond the wit of man to do that. So the problem we have, litter's dropped, seagulls eat the litter, i.e. we have a perpetuation of seagulls. What I've been trying to do is reduce their numbers and their impacts on visitors. All right, but the problem is visitors have got to work with us. You know, when you go down the seafront and somebody has fish and chips, you know, if you've had enough, put it in the bin. You don't need to feed it to the seagulls. They're not ducks, you know what I mean? These are wild animals what have a natural food source called the sea. You know, they'll eat crabs and mussels and things like that, right? They don't need to eat your hot dogs. They don't need to eat your sandwiches, you know what I mean? And to be fair, you're not doing them any favours. If we do a public space protection order, it could be up to £100. You know what I mean? And that would be for any rubbish, for a piece of paper, for a cigarette butt, that would be for whatever, right? But if we do that, you know what I mean? I just think that would be against what we're trying to do. We're trying to say we're a visit attraction, you know what I mean, open to people. Come here and enjoy the coast. Come here, have a great day, you know what I mean? Leave now but your footprints and take everything else and put it in the bin.